we have been understanding the conventional methods for the purity of the mind. And once we have a purity of the mind, we have a right perception. We have a right perception, we have a right knowledge. We have a right knowledge, that knowledge guides our day-to-day life. Then you need not to go for anger management or anxiety management, etc. So what happens by these conventional methods? Think of it. Do we have a feeling, attitude, and the thought? This is all knowledge. Do we have a feeling, attitude, and a thought? Means knowledge. So do I have a knowledge that we coexist? I mean body, mind, breath, intellect all together coexist. When we see the world outside, we are one reality. We coexist with our body, breath, mind, intellect as a person, but inside it is one existence. So when you start thinking, feeling, and have that attitude, purity of the mind will take place in a few seconds. One water, if I use the word, one water, millions of waves. One existence, millions of people, things in the world. What is the impurity of the mind? We don't think, I'm totally separate from you. I'm good, I'm rich, I'm big, I'm small, etc., etc. Waves may be small, big, right or wrong, but one water, one space. That is our first conventional method, is known as the Yajna. We wake up in the morning and you have lot of challenges, and then you get into anxiety and anger because I keep myself separate from the existence. And this is a practical method. I'm concluding Yajna in this session. So what we need to consciously feel, think, and infuse an attitude. One insignificant. You see that, think of this, one insignificant, this guy in time and the space, like a wave moving in the existence. The moment you make it yourself very important, that ego takes over. And when the ego takes over, ignorance is there. When ignorance is there, it causes the impurity of the mind. I believe you are getting it. Think of another aspect. You are upset with someone. Okay. Because of our past impressions. Sometimes we become angry, we become upset from the impressions. But you can extend that upset with anxiety, reaction, divorce, fight, or you realize two options. It all demands an awareness. You're upset, you became angry, okay. So how fast the recovery is. You instantly become aware, I'm the part of the existence, let me have that feeling, an attitude, and a thought. Let me retrieve my steps. You need not to go for anger management and anxiety management. That is the most powerful method Eastern wisdom has found. Or you extend that being upset. Extension of being upset means I separate myself from the existence, the world outside. Then reaction, fight, divorce, you realize. You realize that your parents or your honey got upset, and that is his or her way. What should I do? You have two options. Make the mind impure. How? Keep those thoughts constantly in your head. You're going to your workplace, you're in your home, and you keep those thoughts all the time running. So what is going to happen? You have sleepless nights. You're ready to react. You're ready to fight. Look at this is the application of first conventional method. Or instantly you jump out of that situation mentally and emotionally. Break the cycle of I-ness, ignorance and projection. Are you getting it? Say yes. Even if you're not getting it. You have been attending the sessions now. So we are moving ahead. So what causes the impurity? That ego, ignorance and projection. That is why I asked you a question. Does anyone sending you the message to become angry and upset when they meet you? Tell me, anyone sends you the message to be angry, to upset, to fight when they meet you? Answer is big no. Still we do it, impurity of the mind. How fast you jump out of that situation by recognizing it is caused by the I-ness, ignorance, projection. Three things remember. Ego, ignorance, ego results into ignorance. How dare you? No? And after that you add a statement. I have been taking care of you and you don't. Existence is taking care of anyone. No one takes care of anyone. And that brings us the secret of this yajna, what to do. So with a feeling, with an attitude, with a clear understanding, with an expression of the thought, if I connect, contribute and be grateful. When we connect with the universe, first with the five elements and the sun, we find as they exist, so we exist. And it is very clear. I have to simply think of it. I fight with you, but we both coexist because of the existence. What right I have to? That is the beauty of this conventional method. What a great feeling and experience. We coexist. So we cooperate, we care and share. And the mind is purifying itself. It's not a big deal. That is the meaning of living in a moment. So when we connect, contribute to our parents and ancestors, what exactly we are doing, my parents and ancestors have contributed in my birth. Parenting. What happens to the mind? Duality, conflict with them dissolves in the mind. When we connect to the knowledge, when we connect to those teachers and the masters or scientists, whosoever have passed on to the knowledge to us, who taught us, our teacher. So this is another type of the convention of Yajna. So you go on finding the ultimate cause. I learned from my master learned from his master, and then his master, and then his... What is the ultimate cause? Ultimate cause is the consciousness. It is the real self. It is the existence. So what happens that even if I have some grudge against anyone, that dissolves there and then. That is actual emotional freedom. Otherwise, you find the definition of emotional quotient. It's simply a drive. Then there is another area of the contribution and being grateful, social service. That is also one means, but we use it differently for the sake of our recognition. So Eastern wisdom says, no, not for the sake of your recognition, to connect with the existence. We have something spare to give, whether physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, we should contribute. To check if the mind is following these conventional methods. And it is so simple. Every day in the morning, even for a few minutes, think, become aware, I exist, so others also exist. What I see in the world, that is why it is called the objective world. I am an object in the world. So matter, solar system, other people are also the part of the objective world. And behind that there is an existence. And the moment we misunderstand it, again, ignorance, ego, ignorance and projection. The mind will build a strong ego. My master used to say that when I am obsessed with an anxiety, it simply means that ego is at the peak. My mind says, why the hell others exist? In the moment you have that feeling, attitude, and the thought that we coexist with others, whether it's the five elements, whether it is my ancestors who existed before, whether my honey, the moment you, first thing what happens, the mind gets purified. You have an emotional freedom. And then see the problem and solve it. So what is the goal behind it? The goal behind it that our mind instinctively, impulsively, and habitually, we connect with others based on our desires, likes and dislikes. Think of it. And the more we continue to remain attached, or the more we exist through our desires, likes and dislikes, it is going to create a problem in our day-to-day life. One is angry, remains silent. That is one contribution. Annie says me something, I remain quiet. If she doesn't say anything, I still remain quiet. Unless you come out with a question, then I answer it. Why should I make my mind crazy? So that is the beauty of the relation. This is the meaning of the conventional method. Think of the conventional. Means what? Conventional means traditional, it means also the common, normal, daily living. You do not spare time to return to that state. It is conventional also means a common sense. Ego builds nonsense. Do you see that? Conventional means common sense. But ego builds ego means that I am separate. I am existence. That is why you exist. And that lacks the EQ. Emotional bondage. We carry the baggage of the emotional baggage. Think of any situation. We have to be very careful in following this conventional method. For example, I become angry. Maybe I was not aware. Now instantly I become aware and I remember that we both coexist. So I don't have enough in my mind to react, to be angry and upset over you. We both coexist. One existence. But if I become angry and I rationalize my anger, why I rationalize my anger? Ignorance, ego, ignorance and projection. And that is the impurity of the mind. Because my ego says that I have a right to be upset, angry and react to you. Common sense approach. So that is what is the conventional method of this yajna, what I have been saying. Feeling, attitude and the thought changes the moment we find that we coexist and the existence is taking care of us. There is another approach. You go to a modern approach, we say counseling, etc., etc. So what? They want to dig you again and again. They ask, tell me, repeat that event, when you became angry, how you became angry. Here the approach is very simple. I become aware. I see that it is caused by the ignorance, ego and the projection. Let me drop it. Let me see, is it a fact that I coexist or not? And then see what happens to the mind. Coming to the basic topic that we say, the purity of the mind is absolutely essential in order to awaken to the real self or to reach to the highest state of mindfulness. Without the purity of the mind, we cannot realize this real self. There cannot be permanent peace and happiness because we cannot achieve that state. Remember a phrase or a proverb, deserve before we desire. Deserve purity of the mind before I realize the highest state of mindfulness. That is another way to put it. Yajna. Do you still remember? I believe so. Think of it. 5 points to change the mind, to change the life. Crow's effort, crane's focus, sleep like a dog, and filtering out my food so that it does not put me unconscious into unconscious, and filtering the thought. So the first conventional method is, now you should be clear about it in a different ways. Because think of this, tell the mind that if I follow this yajna conventional method, it is a shock absorber. Think of that. I covered that last session. I gave an example of also the Hitler, how they analyzed. So that is one. Second is that yajna redefines my daily living. So it cultivates a new attitude, and that new attitude is nothing but the purity of the mind. So it creates a favorable situation in our day-to-day living. It helps me to live in that calmness and peace. So what happens that I have started doing mindfulness or meditation 24/7. Before going to sleep, I say that the mind has that connection, gratitude, and the contribution. If I don't have, it will not work. You are connecting yourself at the personal level, at the professional level, at the social level, at the family level, all the time. When you can become aware, because we follow our life consciously. All our achievements, success, prosperity are related to the existence. Don't you think? But we don't think like this. Simply you think like this, have that feeling and attitude, you are already connected. Everything comes from the material, from the world outside. We are not born with, sometimes we say we are born with a silver spoon. Silver spoon remains outside. If we pick up the right understanding. Think of this. My friends, the more you think of this, the life is going to change and it becomes calmer, relaxed. So that is the first conventional method. The second conventional method is the word, English translation is charity, but we will understand. I met with one guy in India who was a millionaire. So I had a very small house. I said, no, you can come and sit there wherever you want to sit. That is what I have. So his daughter wanted to learn. He said, I'm always ready to learn, guide. So during the conversation, he said that I'm ready to pay you whatever you want. So I said, no, let me play. My mind said, let me play with him. I said, you think about a week. How much spare money you have for me? Out of that, I will take a pie. I don't want to name that group of the people are always obsessed with the wealth. They are the richest community in India. So after a week, he came back and he said, intelligently I thought of it, I reflected, and I realized that I don't have any spare money, but still I will contribute. I said, you need not to. We both are in the same line. I don't have money, so you also do not have money. Because you cannot spare. You have 5 houses, you have 5 cars, but anyhow, in one part of the state, his daughter is running a good center. Our Eastern wisdom says, I have to consciously think, do I have anything spare to share and care? If I don't have a share and contribute, if I don't feel that way, then the mind will remain impure. That is the foundation of the charity. Do we pay to meet the selfish end or think of the contribution in our mind? That is the greatest foundation of charity. Second foundation of the charity is that how my mind behaves, how my mind responds to, whether it's a physical charity, you do the physical activity, or you volunteer, mental, emotional, financial, food. It's very important that, and then I will explain it later. You can Google out mega kitchen in India. I'm just, helping you to understand how that tradition is still present. Mega kitchens in India. Recently, they had a series on BBC Earth also. If you combine all the 10 mega kitchens, more than 10 million people in India get 3 meals every day without asking anything. 10 million people. Can you think of the arrangement they do it? They don't ask you anything. You are nearby, you go there at the particular time, and you can get the food. And the best food that you can get. Perhaps if I recognize that they are all spread over all parts of India. 10 million people. There is also a concept here about the soup kitchen, but that runs differently. And the last thing that then we will do it, 53 years, for more than 53 years, my master used to get all the donations from different students and seekers, and he used to calculate how much is the money. He used to invite more than 300 monks and masters at the end of the year. For 3 days, he used to feed them the best food. Ashok and other people knows here. They have witnessed that. 53 years. But he was a monk, so he has nothing to save the money. So whatever the money, 1st December, how much is this much is there. So okay, I can invite 300 people, 300 monks and seekers. So those seekers are still doing their practices in the cottages nearby in the Himalayan region. So he was so, I would say he was so, I don't want to use wise, but he was so mindful that he used to ask us that buy even the candle, the match boxes, the warm clothes, and the food items for about a year. So we used to have a big packet. On the 1st January, my master has only $100 in the account. But that is the very highest level. What is that interest? So only interest is that your mind remains pure. It is not important that to spare and feed 10 people. But I have to look consciously that thinking, that feeling, that attitude in my mind that I coexist with the other people. And I have to see that how much and what I can spare willingly in that state of caring and sharing. We'll talk in detail about this charity in a different way. Let us start our journey. Eyes are closed and we'll understand, is charity outside is a purifier or it makes the mind impure? Majority of the case that it makes the mind impure. So eyes are closed and You are settled. Remember, go back to the same journey that we are trying to absorb completely. Eyes are closed, position of the body. Check. Am I settled? If I'm settled completely with awareness, it demands a feeling, an attitude, and awareness, that is all. With that awareness, your body returns to a state of the comfort. You are aware of the body, the breath, the mind, you are listening to me. So that struggle comes to an end. That struggle is caused by the impurity in the mind. Simple. We are bridging and compressing all the principles into one. Being comfortable. We have been going deeper into being comfortable, looking at the neck joint, being there. Being there means you are aware. Then you experience the sensation, comfort and steadiness. And then you move into the space. You see that movement, you look at the shoulder joint. So shoulder joint means this is my body and my shoulder joint. Then you have an experience of sensation, comfort and steadiness. Sensation cannot be divided. And then the space. So ultimately the entire goal of the Eastern wisdom is to help us to move to the existence, directly, indirectly. Here, we are moving into that space. The entire body, from the top of the head to the toes. I'm saying simply, you are already there, I understand that. So should we not do it? No, we have to do it regularly because we are using the mind in our daily life by thought, by feeling, by response, so that this awareness is completely settled in our day-to-day living. Being carefree. So being carefree. Now I'm introducing being carefree. I have already done it. So introduce that lane number 1, 2, and 3. So you simply recognize the lane number 1 contains unwanted, unwelcome thoughts. Simply you recognize and keep moving on the lane number 2. That is your awareness. So you have separated all your thoughts, feeling, and emotions which enters into us unwelcome, unwanted. We are separate. How do you feel separate when you are driving in the lane? You see it, you know it. That is purely internal. It's a point of awareness. You separated yourself from the lane number 1. You do not participate. The right phrase. And then lane number 2, you are simply aware. So what happens? The time comes, even being carefree takes you to the highest state of mindfulness. Why? Knowledge lives in the lane number 2 and it makes you jump to the lane number 3, where there is a witness consciousness, where we recognize and realize the pure consciousness. Why it is pure? It transcends the mind. But we'll also continue with the mantra to replace, to change the lane, if I say so. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. We want the marriage between the mind and the intellect. So impure mind we recognize, that is all. But now we are replacing. Replacing means that we are moving from the lane number 1 to 2 by the mantra. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. Sarvesham swastir bhavatu. You already know. We recite the mantra mentally, then we go for the meaning. Let there be a happiness for all or well-being for all. And in the lane number 2, we recognize that a happiness is the aspiration of all the living species, irrespective of their body, their shape, and the size. And we live into that feeling and the attitude. That is the knowledge. So we stick to the lane number 2. And then we see if the mind changes or not. So you have a feeling of an expansion. Some of you have told me that, the moment you have started, I was totally absorbed. Obviously. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Sarvesham shantir bhavatu. Let there be peace for all. That is the meaning, and the peace is our essential nature. You're thinking, yes, it's okay. Reflecting, yes, peace, everyone's seeking peace. From the fly to a tiger, to every human being. To my honey who got angry in the morning. Her anger or his anger means that he or she did not find the peace, and she wanted the peace through the anger, which is not possible. Because they are not learning the Eastern wisdom, we know it. Will you see that the kind of the softness the mind gets by thinking, having that attitude? Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Let there be completeness in all. It's a little subtler, but not difficult to understand. A sense of completeness in the mind is the highest purity in the mind. Where you say, if I'm hungry, then how do I feel the sense of, no, hungry, then eat food. My hunger should not have to do anything with my anger reaction. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Auspiciousness is the meaning. Further, we expand that understanding, knowledge plus joy. If I understand, 1, if I have a right knowledge, 2, right knowledge about what? Right knowledge about who am I? I am the real self. Independent of the body, breath, mind, intellect, and the ego. Then what happens? The joy is already there. That helps the mind to jump from the lane 2 to lane 3 that we discussed. And that sense of completeness should remain all the time. It is not a practice, it is a state, it is an attitude, it is an awareness. One thing more you should understand clearly, that you can use this mantra to chant 3 hours every day for maybe for a couple of years, 2 to 3 years. After that you will reach to the higher state. So those 3 years we are compressing by understanding, by knowledge. So we are practicing with clarity of understanding. So those 3 years or those couple of years and 3 hours is reduced to hardly 15-20 minutes. And now we will continue with our journey of the breathing to purify the mind. Look deep inside the forehead in the space. Awareness, sensation, comfort and steadiness in the body. Awareness, you are reciting, you are looking into the space. Third point of awareness, you are doing Om Shanti. Om Shanti continues. And now we add the chest breathing. Start breathing quick and fast from the chest. Pay attention, expansion and contraction of the chest keeps your awareness and attention on the breath. It prevents you going into the lane number 1. And also the Om Shanti. Rhythmic breath. The mind sinks with Om Shanti, with the chest breathing in the state of stillness in the body. That brings the result that is very powerful, my friends. Please continue. Just continue. Your mind is not objecting to your breathing. Means what? Purity of the mind. We have to see that. It's not a big deal whether we do it for 3 minutes or 6 minutes. That's why we have added Om Shanti. A little misstep delays the process. You cannot do, so you can stay for a few seconds and then restart. And now stop this chest breathing. Om Shanti continues. Lane number 2. And that brings a variety of experiences. What should we do with those experiences? Recognize, accept it. Finished. You simply recognize, accept it. Om Shanti continues. So it prevents you falling into lane number 1. Now, belly breathing, start. Belly breathing. Remember, you inhale, the belly goes out. Belly expands, you exhale, the belly squeezes. Squeeze and expand consciously, it's okay. We are doing it for 3 minutes now, today. Let us see what happens. It's not a question if we succeed or not. Question is whether we are doing it correctly or not. We get carried away by the impure mind, or we are moving ahead with the pure mind. Now it's a winter season, so at a very surface level it also helps you to prevent cold and the cough and some infection also. Just I demonstrating for a few seconds so that your mind returns if it has gone anywhere. So it's okay, you are totally carefree, relaxed, and you are doing it. And stop it. Om Shanti continues, body remains steady, and you're experiencing variety of experiences you recognize and accept. Today morning I did 10 minutes of chest breathing, 10 minutes of belly, but I could not succeed in 10 minutes of both. It's okay, it's a part. One day the mind is not ready, but the more we are aware why the mind is not ready, it will help us. Knowledge part is very important. Now we start doing 3 minutes of both breathing, belly into belly and the chest together. Om Shanti continues. Long deep in the hissing breath, both thrust into the belly, follows the chest, and then squeeze both the belly and the chest while exhaling. And stop this. Remain as you are, do nothing. Who says me to stop it? Who says that I cannot do it? It's too much. It is that I thought in the mind. That is due for a deep, silent, slow breathing. The nyasa, the mind moves from the crown of the head to the tailbone. Om Shanti. So you remember while exhaling, the Om begins at the tailbone, rises to the crown of the head, ends with the Shanti. Inhalation, Om begins at the crown of the head, moving into the spine, reaching to the tailbone, Shanti ends there. Check the effortlessness of the deep, silent, slow breathing. Why? You have already done 9 minutes of the breathing, and both the nostrils might be quite open, and there is a free flow of the energy pathway. And now leave that breathing. Go into the cave of your heart, triangle, pointing upward, as you already know, moving the mind, dropping Om Shanti on each side. So you are moving the mind with Om Shanti on a triangle until you find there is a perfect sync. Sync means what? The mind is already living within. And once that happens, then only once, pushing the mind with Om inside the cave of the heart, mind seemingly stops, you drop the Shanti and conscious self-absorption. There is only an awareness. It's all about waiting there. Waiting for revelation. During that period, we undergo a variety of experiences. We recognize them, we accept them. It's a kind of placing the mind on the lane number 3 by lane number 2, where there is no objection coming from the lane number 1. So it might be clear what it means by the purity of the mind. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Just an awareness on the right hand. And you might be feeling, the moment I say that you move your mind on the right hand or become aware, sensation is different. Awareness on the left hand. Lift your both the palms, place it on your eyes, open the eyes inside, know your experiences and bring the hands down. Let us go to the Stephen to share our experiences.
Thank you. That was really good. I always comment about the simplicity of the principles, but the analogy of lane 1, 2, and 3 have been so. I've been able to apply that in my everyday life, and just with the increasing awareness that takes place on a day-to-day basis, I'm now able to place each thought, each action into one of those 3 lanes. And what I'm noticing is lane 2 and lane 3 are getting bigger, while lane 1 is getting smaller and smaller each day. So that's a nice thing. As far as meditation goes, I found it to be effortless. It was again timeless. It went so quickly. The one thing that was a little bit different for me today was the nyasa, and I found that there were no boundaries. So as the breath flow went to the crown of the head, it went past it. And as it went past, it gave me this opportunity to really observe it. And I found so much peace and happiness in that space. And then just, flowed, through the body. And it was just a great experience. So thanks.
Beautiful. First thing that you found that during the Nyasa practice, the pieces there, I remember something that we will discuss later. So the Tantra tradition says that just about 4 fingers above the crown of the head, it is the center of the peace consciousness. So that center of the peace consciousness, when it aligns with the nyasa, it brings that experience. One thing you said is quite remarkable. I think it's wonderful to remember that the lane number 2 and 3 are becoming bigger and bigger. That simply means the purity of the mind is happening. Wonderful. Thank you. How are you, David and Jerry?
Morning, thank you. Very good meditation. The kind of to Stephen's point, the acknowledgement that lane 1 was there, but the tug of war with lane 1 is diminishing rapidly with every meditation we're doing. So lots of time in lane 2 and 3 doing the breathing. Right when you mentioned it's winter season, my sore throat started to kind of tickle a little bit, but I didn't. It just did that, and I was like right back into a deep meditation. So it was very, very simple, very quick, very beautiful. Thank you.
Yes, again I'm repeating and reminding what David is saying. Acknowledgement that lane number 1 is there, then what? Then what? It only happens when the mind is recognizing the lane number 2, the knowledge that we both exist peacefully in day-to-day examples of challenges that we have in our life. Beautiful. How are you, Jerry?
Very good, thank you. The meditation was great. It was very absorbed. I had a thought, I read a quote yesterday about 2 types of people. There are the people that want to know and the people that want to believe.
Yeah.
And I find that there was a situation yesterday where we had to get to a specific address. And we were at the address, but we couldn't find the place that we wanted to go. But we only drove halfway around the building.
Oh.
And then we decided to drive back the same way we came. So we didn't ever drive the circumference of the building and wondered why we couldn't find it. And it's just really, I found it interesting as I was walking into the building because it was so clear if we'd only driven all the way around the building, we were there. And obviously we found it eventually, but we had to call someone to find it. So it just reminds me of in day to day, we have the knowledge. And we just have to keep checking it.
Keep checking it. Yes, that's a very good point. In fact, when I came to your house for the first time, it happened to me. I took 2 or 3 rounds. Because just by your side, there was totally another number. So, which was not in a sequence. So it happens, but the same, what is that? Effort like a crow, but in calmness. Beautiful. That's a beautiful, my friend. So how are you, Samir?
Sir, it was very easy very smooth, and I quickly went into the meditation, and it passed on very quickly, and it was wonderful. Means I was in peace today.
Beautiful. That's a deeper state. That's good. That is how it works. How are you, Brandy?
Good morning, I'm fine, thank you. I had curiosity during the quiet part of our meditation about sort of the origins of lane one, and I was thinking about from the time we're babies, by design, our mind starts that seeking and that running, but the consciousness at the same time is always was and is always there. And I thought it was interesting that you talked about the four fingers above the head, because the fontanella in a baby's head is still open.
Yeah.
And then over time I don't know. But it was quieting actually to think about the fact that like from the time we come into existence, we're thinking, right? Like we begin thinking, and then somehow we lose sight of the separation.
It's a beautiful, you touched that point. 2 points there. You related it to the baby, that it was always an open. One of the Tantra masters that I had for a few years, he said the moment you have an anxiety or any kind of a conflict, focus just about 4 fingers above the forehead. And it helped me a lot, long back, almost 30 years back. This is wonderful. Second point that you raised, it should be understood and should be realized by everyone. Consciousness is the same, it did not change. So when we were born and we started learning, we started thinking for a few years why we remain spontaneous, because the lane number 2, where the thought comes and it used to leave us. And as we grew older, it became habitual and instinctual and repetitive. That is one thing. What the human mind learns the very first thing. As a baby, I started crying and mother fed me the milk. So my mind created an impression that pleasure is outside. And then we started learning that all the pleasures are outside. Because I did not take any action. I did not realize that. So from the toys to the books and to the smartphone, so that conditioning causes the impurity of the mind. It's a beautiful insight. How are you, Terry?
I'm okay. I had work with the breathing, and I also was working on it last night, during the night.
Okay.
And that was very helpful. And I feel calm, but my hands kept moving, like they kept moving reactive, what do you call that? I don't know why I can't think of the word. When we come to the triangle, I can't see the triangle anymore.
But you are aware of the triangle, that is enough.
Yeah, I was wondering if I was inside it, and that's why I couldn't see.
No, you think a lot. So even if you are aware of a triangle, I close my eyes and I am aware of a Terry, that is enough. Then the mind plays a trick with us. Oh, no, let me see how the nose of a Terry looks like. No, I don't need that. Just an awareness. Just an awareness. Because we are moving from the objective reality to a subjective reality. So anything in the objective reality has a name and the form. has the shape and the form and the color, but the subjective reality does not have that. So why to push for it? So because that is a very habitual and instinctive mind that wants to go into the same way. No, we have not to follow the old ways. Second thing that, today I just said that in the morning I did 10 minutes of chest breathing, 10 minutes of belly, and when I started doing 10 minutes of this, both together, I could hardly do hardly 2 or 3 minutes. But how do I check it? I will show you. It's a Gen watch. So it's a hexagonal watch. So I put it on the 10 minutes and then I need not to worry whether 10 minutes have passed or not. But one thing, what I did that I could only succeed for 2 minutes and then I rested for a few seconds and I continued doing it. I said I will anyhow complete 10 minutes. So it took me instead of 10 minutes, it took me 15 minutes. It's okay. So it's a crow's effort. You should be totally focused. I will complete it. Do whatever. So then it works. And that is going to help you, what you said in your challenges with the deer lungs. How are you, Barbara? We see you moving lips, we don't hear you. No chance. What happened? Yes. No. I heard some noise, but then I said that it may be working, but still be here. No. Okay, no problem. We see you smiling, so we can guess. So how are you, Vaibhav? But in the meantime, if you can speak, so you can. Yes, Vaibhav.
Thank you, sir. It was peaceful. I'm totally absorbed. Very calm.
Very calm. Absorbed and very calm. That's really good. Learn this. It should change our behavior, our attitude in our day-to-day life. And how are you, Sangeeta?
बहुत peaceful था और आंखें खोलने का मन नहीं कर रहा था.
Yeah, she doesn't want to open her eyes. That's definitely a deeper meditation. So what you should be doing when you listen and do the practice, you in your head, in the lane number 2, pick up the main bullet point. In the bullet points in the lane number 2, you are very clear about the conventional methods. And the first method is the Yajna, how you relate to the 5 or 6 different categories in the world outside. So once you are aware, you have a thinking and a feeling and attitude, you will find out in few days that the mind becomes so calm and relaxed, as if it has nothing to do in the world. Instead, you are doing everything. Did you understand that part? So that that will release the burden of the ego to become a doer, which says I have to do a lot of things. We have to do nothing. We are doing nothing, in fact. The fact is that.